Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to enter a world shrouded in darkness, where the veil of mystery conceals unspeakable horrors. Take a deep breath as we delve into the depths of one of the most spine-chilling and perplexing murder cases in American history, the infamous Black Dahlia murder. It will surely send shivers cascading down your spine.
Maniac. However, he is a cunning man. He knows just exactly what moves he's going to make.
Announcing today,
It's 1947, and in the heart of Los Angeles, a mother calls the police to report a possible murder. She had been strolling through Leimert Park with her 2-year-old when she noticed an abandoned mannequin. Only on closer inspection did she understand that it wasn't a mannequin, but a corpse. Elizabeth Short's mutilated body was found, a grotesque tableau of horror in a display of brutality that defied comprehension. She had been slashed in half at the waist and had been drained of all her blood. Her intestines, among other organs, had been surgically removed and were now arranged tidily under her buttocks. Her thighs and breasts had sections of skin removed, and she had a lot of excrement in her stomach, probably having been made to consume them before she was killed. The mutilations on her face, though, were the most horrifying. Her face was slashed on both sides, from her mouth's corners to her ears, leaving what is known as a Glasgow smile. She must have been murdered elsewhere before being left at Leimert Park, because the body had previously been scrubbed clean. Elizabeth Short, as her identity would be later revealed, met a terrible fate so unimaginable that it defies all reason and sanity. Her life was brutally extinguished, and her body left discarded, dismembered, and violated, as if she was a doll. The city was gripped by fear, whispers of a deranged killer lurking in the shadows. Investigators struggled to make sense of the unfathomable, but the more they dug for answers, the further they seemed to get from the truth. What makes this case truly bone-chilling is the fact that the Black Dahlia murder has refused to yield its secrets. The unsolved puzzle gnaws at our collective consciousness, leaving us yearning for closure, while the enigmatic killer mocks the very notion of justice, even though by now they're long dead. The gruesome discovery. In the shadows of the sprawling city of angels, filled with the dreams and ambitions of countless souls, Elizabeth Short, known to the world as the Black Dahlia, found the fame and fortune everyone wished for. She just wasn't alive to relish it. Los Angeles had a new star, but instead of glam and the good life, she inspired fear and a newfound love of life. She was the muse of a very sinister plot.
They nicknamed her the Black Dahlia.
In the wake of this abomination, investigators descended upon the crime scene. Every step they took, every clue they uncovered, only deepened the enigma surrounding Elizabeth Short's demise. The chilling reality of her fate sent shockwaves through the city, shattering its illusion of safety. The investigation begins. As the news of the gruesome Black Dahlia murder spread like wildfire, Los Angeles found itself engulfed in a frenzied storm of media coverage and public interest. Safe to say, she became a superstar, a dead one. The Black Dahlia case was everywhere, with newspaper headlines screaming in bold letters and newsreels capturing the public's insatiable curiosity. It was the talk in bars, nightclubs, and even churches. Most of all, the pressure on law enforcement to solve the puzzle and bring the killer to justice was relentless. Investigators worked tirelessly, sifting through mountains of evidence and examining every detail, but they faced an uphill battle, for the killer seemed to be a phantom, leaving behind few clues to follow. The labyrinthine streets of Los Angeles offered an abundance of hiding places, and the investigation became a race against time. The LAPD had up to 750 investigators working on the case at one point, examining more than 150 probable suspects in the Black Dahlia murder. During the original inquiry, police heard more than 60 confessions, but none were deemed legitimate. More than 500 admissions have been made since then, yet no one has been put on trial. The meticulous nature of the killer's actions left investigators grappling for answers. They interviewed every witness they could think of, searching for any thread that might lead them to the heart of the darkness that had claimed Elizabeth Short's life. Eventually, law enforcement identified several key suspects and persons of interest. One such figure was Dr. George Hodel, a prominent physician with a dark and twisted past. His potential involvement in the Black Dahlia murder sent shockwaves through the investigation as detectives explored the depths of his connections and delved into his enigmatic persona. Another figure that emerged from the shadows was Leslie Dillon, a man with ties to the film industry and a troubled background. His suspicious behavior and chilling confessions piqued the interest of investigators as they sought to uncover the truth behind his claims and determine whether he was a master manipulator or a genuine threat. The investigation explored motives of jealousy, revenge, and even the possibility of an occult ritual. Each suspect offered a tantalizing glimpse into the mind of a potential killer, but never really filled the shoes of their ideal culprit. The dark underbelly of Hollywood. The most complex part about this case was that it had a lot of leads reported, but they would all lead to a dead end. On average, 400 written or typed letters were sent to Harry Hansen, the detective in charge. It seemed to be a spectacle, as many people came into the station claiming to be the Black Dahlia murderer and turning themselves in. There was no end to the false leads, but some seemed valid enough to be investigated seriously. The Richardson call. A call came from a man claiming to be Richardson and taking responsibility for the killing. It seemed like a breakthrough at the time, and it was a very important lead to the case. He said he wanted to be caught, and he also promised that he was going to be sending a couple of her belongings. The Black Dahlia letters. During this time, sending letters had risen into practice. Cases like the Zodiac Killer case in the later years are a good example of this. The Richardson call would prove to bear weight, as a letter was sent to the editor of the LA Examiner's newspaper. It had a lot of letters cut from movie advertisements and posted onto the paper to form messages. Attached to the letter were Elizabeth's ID card, birth certificate, address book, and personal photos. These items were believed to be in the purse she had disappeared with. They were wiped clean with gasoline. With time, several more were sent to the detective, one sent from the same person to different locations on January 29, 1947. The Black Dahlia Avenger claimed his murder was justified and claimed he would turn himself in. He did not turn himself in. Purse and shoes. A purse and a pair of shoes were also found near a garbage dump close to where Elizabeth's body was found. They were searched for and eventually found, but they had also been wiped clean with gasoline. The leads, whether solid or not, all led to a dead end. Beach letter. A pile of clothing was found on the beach. It included a man's navy herringbone jacket, white shirt, undershirt, underwear, and a moccasin. Inside the shoe was a letter. It said, "To whom it may concern, I have waited for the police to capture me for the Black Dahlia killing, but they have not. I'm too much of a coward to turn myself in. This is the best way out. I couldn't help that or this. Sorry, Mary." This letter led to searching the ocean, but nobody was found. It was later dismissed as another prank. It made little sense for someone to drown themselves without their underwear, as the weight would help them drown better. Unraveling the cryptic clues. The Black Dahlia case is, without a doubt, one of the longest-standing cold cases in America. Cold cases always come along with people that hope to solve the case. Whether true or not, theories kept coming in from all angles. A lot of people wanted to break down the brick wall standing between the case and its solving. Over the years, the Black Dahlia murder has been linked to several other cases, including the Cleveland Torso murders of 1935 to 38. In the Cleveland Torso murders, 12 individuals were killed. Several speculations surfaced about how the assailant might have traveled to Los Angeles because of the similarity between the MO. These speculations were debunked because the location was too far apart, and the years were far apart as well. More than that, the Black Dahlia murder seems way more personal. The letters gotten from the infamous Black Dahlia Avenger with the initial BD made it linked to the lipstick killer case. When the body in that case was found, an inscription with red lipstick, "Fuck you, BD," was present. Of course, it was later discovered that it was a P and not a B that was signified. Fuck the police department. This proved to be another wall in the investigation. What actually happened? No one knows the answer. The theories over the years are an attempt to trace back the steps and try to find hidden clues, if not solve the case. James Elloy theory. At 10:10 p.m. on Sunday, the 22nd, a couple of kids came across a strangled body of Geneva Elloy. The child of the 43-year-old divorcee took it upon himself years later to find connections between both the case of his mother and Elizabeth Short. He became a popular true crime documentary writer with a number of published books. His speculations on the Black Dahlia case were taken up, but it is important to know that he made it clear that his ideas were purely fictional. It was weaved around the Black Dahlia case, but it was not factual. The Janice Knowlton theory. You probably don't know about the book titled "Daddy Was the Black Dahlia Killer." Janice Knowlton had claimed that she had recovered memories from her childhood when she was 10. Her premise involved her dad impregnating Elizabeth and doing it to cover up his tracks. She claimed she remembered her dad, George Knowlton, dissecting Elizabeth Short's body in a sack, and she remembered helping with the body disposal. She claimed being a child it meant nothing, but as an adult, she finally put the pieces together. The brain can cover up memories as a way to protect us, only for them to resurface later. But the brain can also implant memories that never happened. Recovering memories were not fully trusted as a source. A psychologist could plant any memory, and the patient would believe it to be true. Janice's theory did not seem so far-fetched. It was taken seriously till the other parts of her claims just seemed insane. She claimed her dad sold her to a satanic cult and was raped by Walt Disney. Janice was suffering from depression, and her recovered memories were not factual enough to be believed. She later passed away by suicide from a drug overdose. The George Hodel theory. This theory is the most popular. Stephen Hodel came out with a claim that his father George had murdered Elizabeth Short. This grabbed a lot of attention because, for starters, he was in the police force, and his theory was rooted in explainable facts that made a lot of people seem to think his father was the culprit. George Hodel was a popular doctor and surgeon who treated STDs. During the time he was in school, dissection was often taught. This fact made him a plausible suspect, since Elizabeth was dissected and bisected clean in half. It had to be done by a professional. Steve went on to say that his father was the red lipstick murderer, as well as the Black Dahlia Avenger and the Zodiac Killer. The premise of this whole speculation was that he had found pictures of a lady he believed to be Elizabeth in his father's belongings after his father passed away. George Hodel was on the list of suspects during the investigation. His secretary also died mysteriously while investigating to prove he was the culprit. All these facts did little to ease the suspicious eyes that gazed towards him. A cement sack was found on the scene of the murder, and Steve had found receipts of the same brand of cement in his father's belongings. Around that time, his father was renovating his house. It did not help that his father was charged with the rape of his teenage daughter. He was later acquitted, but wires were placed on him, and they recorded an incriminating sentence from him. Supposing I did kill the Black Dahlia. They couldn't prove it now. They can't talk to my secretary because she's dead. This argument was later toppled because the pictures found by Steve Hodel were proven to not be Elizabeth Short. This made his argument baseless, since the entire argument had the pictures at the center. The constant cases that Steve Hodel pitched against his father piled up, which made the police a bit doubtful. Lastly, it was found that the only reason he was on the suspect list in the first place was that he was a medical practitioner, and every medical practitioner was put on the list. The Eatwell Theory. Pugh Eatwell came out with another theory in her book titled Black Dahlia, Red Rose, claiming Mark Hansen, also known as Red, was the culprit of the murder, and that he might have had help from Leslie Dillon. Red had been involved with Elizabeth as he owned Astor Motel, which she lived in at some point. Eatwell's theory suggested that Dillon, at the time a bellhop at the Biltmore Hotel, had a background in surgery and medical training, which would explain the precision with which Elizabeth Short's body was mutilated. One key piece of evidence in Eatwell's theory was the testimonies of several witnesses who claimed to have seen Short in the company of a mysterious man shortly before her murder. Eatwell claimed Elizabeth Short had gang connections and had gotten involved with Jeff Connor, Leslie Dillon, and Mark Hansen, who also had gang affiliations and had to be killed. This theory did not stand because Leslie Dillon was not in Los Angeles during the murder, and most importantly, it depended on Elizabeth Short being a sex worker and aspiring actress, which was just a conspiracy. More importantly, the killing seemed too personal to be gang-related. The Larry Harnish Theory. This theory would prove to be the most factual of all theories. Larry Harnish's The Black Dahlia, The Long Strange History of the Los Angeles Case, focused on another angle of the Black Dahlia case. It was deeply rooted in the fact that he was more focused on finding connections and not just solving the murder. His theory involved Dr. Walter Bailey. He fit the profiling, as he was the chief of staff at the county hospital. Plus, Biltmore Hotel, where she was last seen, was close to his home. His home was also a walk from where her body was found. This placed him at the epicenter of everything. The cherry on top would be that his adopted daughter was the matron maiden in Virginia Short's, Elizabeth's older sister's, wedding. The connection would mean that since they were acquaintances, they would have met somewhere along the way. It would be discovered that Dr. Walter Bailey had been diagnosed encephalomalacia, a degenerative brain disorder. The symptoms included hypersexuality, homicidal rage, and a personality change. His hypersexuality was proven by his affair with his assistant and the fact that he could watch surgery videos while playing classical music. His daughter argued that her father was never involved with the shorts. Unsolved mysteries. The Black Dahlia case remains open, and the gory and gruesome details have influenced not just books and documentaries, but also shows and movies. Hollywood felt the influence of the Black Dahlia, as it served as an inspiration for several works, including I Am the Night, Root of Evil, and of course, the Black Dahlia. It is even mixed with the supernatural in the Black Dahlia haunting. As we reach the end of our investigation of the Black Dahlia murder case, let us reflect on these sinister events. We have encountered a myriad of theories and potential suspects, from the notorious Dr. George Hodel to the enigmatic figure of Leslie Dillon. Motives of jealousy, revenge, and even occult practices have woven a tapestry of intrigue and speculation, yet despite the tireless efforts of investigators and the passage of time, the Black Dahlia murder case remains unsolved. The Black Dahlia murder case stands as a testament to the complexities of human nature. It reminds us that behind every unsolved crime, there are lives forever altered and questions that demand answers. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed this video and crave more spine-chilling true crime content, we invite you to subscribe to our channel. You'll be notified whenever we release new videos that delve into the darkest corners of the human psyche. Until next time, stay vigilant and curious.